The E3 press conferences are over, and now we are looking at just the stuff people who are there are coming out about with behind closed doors demos and from playing the games. But I wanted to rank the press conferences, go a little bit more in depth about my feelings on each one of them after having a couple days to post them all, rewatch them again, and then also which one won, of course, because duh, and also which one's the worst, but I think we all know which one that is. So let's go ahead and jump into each conference, talk about what was good about them, what was bad about them, and of course, my rankings on each one. So first up, we had EA, and I'm just gonna say the good first because there was a lot of bad. Anthem looked awesome. I loved the conversation with the developers about the game. It made me really inspired to think that this game looks super cool. It's going to be a great game. It seems kind of like Destiny on steroids and adding like Mass Effect type of stuff into it. I don't know. It just looks really awesome, and I'm really excited for Anthem. The Battlefield 5 stuff, while it was really short, looked good. I'm really excited for that game later this year. And the Unravel 2 drop for that day release. So it's really awesome. Plus Unravel 2 just as great as Unravel 1 and even better. So those are the best games of the conference for sure. I also really liked Andrea Renee as a host. Well, she had a couple little moments. She was a really great host and a lot less awkward than other hosts that I've seen at E3 conferences, so shout out to her. And that was all the good. The rest of the thing, there were tons of sports, and I'm not a sports gamer, so for me that was a negative, but if that was the only negative, I wouldn't rank it terribly. But then the other stuff happened. First of all, this was horrible pacing, with random conversations throughout that didn't really make sense. Weirdly, some games went a lot longer, some games went a lot shorter, and it was just kind of awkward. There was so much cringe, like over and over again. I was like, why is this happening? Or like mistakes would get made and stuff. And then the Command and Conquer Rivals section, they came on and showed that game for almost 10 minutes of them playing a stupid mobile game on stage. This was ridiculous. It totally destroyed the conference, and that it was, I couldn't believe that they did that. So that's all I'm going to say on EA. A couple good games, terrible conference. Next, we had Microsoft, and holy crap, Microsoft was a doozy. They showed off 15 games, 18 of them were world premieres, something like 15 of them or so were exclusives, which is really incredible. Phil Spencer also announced that they're working on the new Xboxes already. I'm assuming they'll come out in 2020. We'll see them at E3 2019. He announced that they acquired 5 new first-party studios, which is awesome, especially because some of those were great. Things that we expected, like Playground, who makes the Forza Horizon series. They also talked about they're creating Microsoft AI, which is a better AI with all of their power over there because they're such a big company with Windows and everything that they have. So that's really cool. I think that'll really add to gaming. And then they showed off some Game Pass stuff and everything. But overall, they showed a lot and talked about a lot at this conference, and it really renewed my faith in Microsoft. They had such a big chip on their shoulder going in because they lost this generation, like hardcore lost this generation. Sony flew ahead of them and it never stopped. So they had such a chip on their shoulder. They went in and they destroyed it. They got so many amazing games, especially third-party games I did not expect for them to show on their stage. I mean, they got Cyberpunk 2077. And then they got Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice. I have no idea if I'm pronouncing that right. Devil May Cry 5. Like, seriously, they got a ton of stuff that I don't think they would have gotten a couple years ago, so I'm really impressed by them. There was amazing pace, so many games shown, there was little to no cringe at all. A couple complaints I have is that I could have used more on certain games like Halo. I think just that little Halo teaser wasn't enough. I wish we would have learned a little bit more about what it was, and some of the trailers were okay and not super great, and other ones were really awesome, so there was a couple flat points with trailers in there, but overall it was really impressive. I mean, just think about it. We got Cyberpunk 2077, Dying Light 2, Kingdom Hearts 3, Metro Exodus, Devil May Cry 5, Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice, Halo, Gears of War, Forza Horizon 4. I mean, come on. That was such an amazing lineup of games. So overall, I think that was an amazing conference and definitely one of the best Microsoft's had in years. Then we move on to Bethesda's conference, which was so interesting because there's kind of 2 parts of that conference. There was the first part, which showed some really great games, was super cringy, pretty awkward at some points, and overall was really slow. The pacing was weird, and it was just almost a bad conference at first. But once Todd Howard came out, it started becoming incredible. Just bam, bam, bam moments, so much gameplay, so much knowledge we've learned about games. And then obviously the amazing teases at the end. For those who don't know, we saw such an amazing lineup of games at Bethesda. Doom Eternal? What? A sequel? I'm down. Wolfenstein Youngblood, which is 18 years after Wolfenstein 2 and is a co-op game with BJ's 2 twin daughters? Are you kidding me? Yeah. Elder Scrolls 6 teased, Starfield teased, Fallout 76, a huge download of information into all of our brains, and it looks awesome. I am so stoked on that game. And then Elder Scrolls Blades, a mobile Elder Scrolls game that will also be playable on everything else, but it's mainly focused on mobile, and it looks awesome because it's like a legit Elder Scrolls game, which I'm super excited for. So while it was really cringy and the pacing was terrible at the front, the back end of it was incredible with so many different announcements. And when you add all the great announcements in, I think it was a good conference overall, just really kind of cringy at certain parts in the beginning. Then we had Square Enix's conference, which was interesting. I was disappointed for sure after seeing it because I expected a little bit more out of them. I mean, we missed things like Final Fantasy VII, which was surprising to me. But there were some good points and some bad points in the conference. First of all, I love that they came out with a no bullcrap approach where they were just like, we're going to show 30 minutes of amazing games, footage after footage after footage. We're not going to have any weird interruptions. The pacing was probably one of the best out of the conferences. I'd say it was on par with Microsoft's. And it was just a good conference for that reason, in the sense that it got through really quickly. We didn't have to worry about anything. There was no cringe. We saw game after game after game. And I thought that was really cool. And we saw some good games and a lot of cool things like gameplay for Shadow of the Tomb Raider, more Kingdom Hearts 3 footage, Project Octopath Traveler, Dragon Quest XI, which I'm super excited for. So yeah, they showed a bunch of really cool games, which, I mean, other than a couple of things like Final Fantasy VII, they basically showed all their catalog that they have and that's announced right now, which, I mean, I'm fine with that. But the thing was, there's nothing new or surprising. Like I said, we didn't see Final Fantasy VII, so people are still kind of wondering, you know, what's coming up for Square? Do they have more in the pipeline? And what else can we look forward to seeing? And they didn't really give us that. So, quick conference. Pretty good games, nothing really new or surprising, and kind of just uneventful overall. Then we had Ubisoft, and it's so unfortunate because I love Ubisoft as a publisher. They've been coming out with so many incredible games, and they've really stepped it up over the past few years. So and I just can't believe that the conference went down how it did. First of all, before I get into the games, this was the cringiest conference, even worse than EA, because there were so many technical difficulties. Like just the "we nailed it" thing. We nailed it! Tied in with the guy who said my intro changed a bunch of times and sounded upset about it.
Oh, sorry, I did not know they had changed your entrance, so
it changes every day, every second it changes.
And it also destroyed a lot of people's channels, like mine, where I had to delete my reaction, so I can't even have it up anymore because I wanted to stream the Sony stream, and they wouldn't let me because they blocked all of my videos in the country around the world, so they disabled live streaming on my channel. They did that for many other creators, and that's why some people who were streaming Ubisoft's conference all of a sudden didn't stream Sony's, which was super unfortunate, and I just think that was such a dumb decision on their part. And they said they were sorry, made a mistake, but man, you can't make mistakes like that. That is such a bad look on your conference. They also didn't have any real big surprises. I was kind of shocked that there wasn't anything really revealed. I mean, Trials Rising, that's not really that special. It's Trials, and don't get me wrong, Trials is cool, but that's not like, whoa, we were expecting a new Splinter Cell or something. Nothing of the sort. The biggest surprise was Star Fox and Starlinked, which looks cool. And I pre-ordered the Star Fox pack because I obviously want to get it. It'll go up with my amiibos. But it's just not something that I was really blown away by, and I was expecting the real Star Fox game, and again, we didn't see that at any of these conferences either. So I don't know, it was a weird conference. Assassin's Creed Odyssey looks amazing though. I am so excited for that, and I'm glad they did a long gameplay showcase of that because that game looks amazing. But yeah, the conference itself... Then we got the PC Gaming Show, which I was honestly shocked by because it was so good. Yeah, there was some cringe in there, like one of the guys' mics didn't work and the other guy's, what's wrong with this mic? What's wrong with this mic?
Whoa, what's going on with the mic? What's going on with the mic? Wait, oh my gosh, is the stethoscope eliminating your microphone? Oh, you know what? We do this every year. Come here, talk to me.
Okay.
How do we run a hospital?
So 2 Point Hospital is a game about designing and...
But man, this conference had so many games. I think the most games. I couldn't even count after a while because there were so many. I was writing a list of them, and after I got almost as many as Microsoft, I was like, no, I can't keep writing. There's just so many here. So I think they had more than Microsoft. I do believe they had more than 50, which is shocking because there were so many in this conference. There was also great pacing, and I was surprised by how much I liked both of the announcers. There was a little bit of cringe with each of them, but for the most most part, considering they announced every game, they talked about every game, they had tons and tons of lines, I was really impressed by their presentation abilities. It went really well. There was a good combination of AAA to indie games and a little bit of everything in between, and there was a lot of stuff I was actually excited for, which I didn't expect. I was surprised by the relevance of the games, and I really enjoyed the conference overall. So many games that they showed off, and I just had a lot of fun watching it and seeing all the different games. We then had the Sony Conference. I don't know what happened here. I don't know if they just came in and they're like, we're so above the game, we're so ahead, we don't have to come out and press, we don't have to do anything, we're going to do these weird experiences for reporters and disrespect the time of the people watching at home, and it was just so weird. But the games they showed and what they showed of the games, absolutely incredible. Some of the highlights from the conference were The Last of Us 2, which gameplay and cutscenes looked absolutely insane. The Last of Us was so good, and I'm so excited to see The Last of Us 2. I don't even want to see anymore because it's so beautiful and it seems so powerful. I just want to play it at this point. Ghosts of Tsushima looks amazing, and I'm really excited. I don't even know if I pronounced that right. It's a samurai game that's really grounded. The graphics are absolutely gorgeous. The gameplay looks like a lot of fun. The character dynamics are really interesting. And overall, I thought that was a really powerful demo. I couldn't get over how much I loved it. So I'm so in for Ghosts of Tsushima. Then, of course, we got the Resident Evil 2 remake, which people were expecting, but also not expecting. And I was surprised at how good it looks. That game looks incredible. The graphics in that game and what they've done with it look insane. So I'm really excited again to jump into that. I actually never played Resident Evil 2, and it looks really good. So it'll be my chance to kind of get that game knowledge into my brain. They showed a ton of Death Stranding and left us with even more questions. I'm glad we got to see some gameplay to kind of see how the game looks and everything, but there's still so many questions, and I love the theories people have been posting all over the internet, but I guess we'll have to wait into the future to really see what happens. They also announced Control from Remedy Studios, who actually just finished Quantum Break a couple years ago on the Xbox, so it's cool to see them doing a cross-platform game. And then, of course, we got the amazing gameplay for Spider-Man. That game just looks absolutely amazing. I am so excited for Spider-Man. I think it's a Spider-Man we've all dreamed of, and I don't doubt it with Insomniac at its back, so I am so hyped for that Spider-Man game. But seriously, what was that intermission? Why? Why did they do that after The Last of Us? What was it, 15 or 20 minutes? Where they just went out and talked in an awkward conference setting, and it was just dumb. Stupid decision. I don't know why they did that. I know they wanted to have these cool experiences for the reporters there, but that's not fair to us. That's not fair when I'm streaming at home and it's awkward for 20 minutes because they're just talking and no one wants to listen. I had a huge drop off when they got to that because people want to see gameplay. People want to see stuff. I wanted to see stuff. Why did you do that? That should have been post or pre-show material. That should not have been during the conference, and I hope Sony never does something like that again. So I honestly think they had the worst pacing of all of the conferences because of that. Everyone was so hyped after Last of Us, and then they just killed it. They had to rebuild it back up for Ghost of Tsushima, which I don't think they should have done. That was really dumb. So I don't know why they had to do that. And last but not least, we had Nintendo. Nintendo, again, had very fast pacing, went through a ton of different games in the beginning. I mean, we went through those games. They had cool announcements like Fortnite and Hollow Knight being dropped that same day. They also showed us things like Overcooked 2, which I am so excited for. They started it with Daemon X Machina, or Daemon Machina. I don't know how to say that correctly, but a mech game with an incredibly talented group of people. You should go up and look at the people who are making that game, because there are multiple of them that look awesome, and they're super experienced veterans of the industry. And of course, they announced Super Mario Party as well, which looks really cool. They use a switch pattern where like you can move the switches and go across switches. Oh, you just have to see it. It's really cool. But yeah, they did that, and it looks interesting. But then we got to Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and oh boy, did they talk a lot about this. They told us that every character in any Smash ever is going to be in this game. They showed so many overhauls. They did so many improvements to gameplay that they've up-resed a ton of levels from the past and brought in a bunch of new levels, and it just looks incredible. I am so excited to get my hands on Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, to play with you guys, to play with my family, to play with my friends, and just to play in general, because it looks like it's going to be the ultimate Smash Bros, as is the title, and I really think this is going to move tons of Switches. Oh, and they've announced Ridley, of course, too, so new character in there, and Echo Daisy, but Echo's not really a true second character. But they didn't show Metroid Prime 4, Bayonetta 3, the new Pokemon Core RPG, Yoshi, which some of them that makes sense and other ones it doesn't as much, so I was kind of disappointed that we didn't see much new stuff. But hey, Smash looks amazing, and if they really feel like they need to highlight all that stuff, They did, and it looked really cool the whole time. I just wish I would have seen a little bit more variety in the conference. So that was all the different conferences. Now let's talk about the rankings. So these are going to be ranked from first to last, and all of the conferences starting with Microsoft. Like I said when I reviewed it, it was the best conference. It was one of Microsoft's best ever. So fast, so many games. I was just blown away by the conference, and overall, I think it was a huge move for Microsoft, and I can really appreciate that. My second is the PC Gaming Show. Like I said in my review again, so many games, really great pacing, and I was just shocked by how relevant a lot of the games were to me as a person. And then even the ones that weren't, I was still like, those look really cool. I think that was an excellent conference. If you missed the PC Gaming Show, totally go back and watch it because there are so many games in that show. Next is Bethesda, and I chose Bethesda. I kind of had trouble. Bethesda and Nintendo were kind of neck and neck. I chose Bethesda because the Todd Howard section was so good and so happy to me and made me so excited that I had to put it up here. Even though the beginning was cringe, there were a lot of early cool games there as well. And then the Todd Howard section, Elder Scrolls Blades, Fallout 76, Starfield, Elder Scrolls 6. Oh my gosh, I'm so hyped. Like I said, Nintendo's basically right alongside Bethesda. I put it one under though, so it is what it is. Like I said, good pacing, tons of games, super hyped for Smash Ultimate, but nothing really mind-blowing, so both Bethesda and Nintendo are kind of right in the middle of the list. Then we had Sony, and I put Sony above Square because Sony had those gameplay demos were amazing. Like, if they could have just made it 30 minutes and only showed those gameplay demos, I would have put it higher on the list. It probably would have beat out Bethesda even because the games were incredible. But the actual full conference, so many issues, but man, those games. I want to play The Last of Us. I want to play Ghost of Tsushima. I want to do all of that stuff. So that puts them a little bit above some of the rest. But yeah, Square Enix is right below them. They had a good conference, nothing mind-blowing, nothing really special. Kind of disappointed they didn't show anything really creative, but it was a good conference overall. Then we had Ubisoft. The only thing keeping Ubisoft above last place is Assassin's Creed Odyssey and a few of the other games they showed, like The Division 2. They look really awesome. I liked those gameplays, and I can appreciate how much work they're putting into games like Assassin's Creed Odyssey. And since I love Assassin's Creed, that helped it get to above lowest position. And then, of course, EA is the bottom. Who would have guessed? Horrible conference, only a couple interesting games, and even some of those interesting games barely got any time. The weird Star Wars announcement, like, that's great. You announced the Star Wars game, but you just announced a title and a time period it takes place in. Whoa, I don't know, that was just such a bummer of a conference, but we can't expect more from EA, right? Anyway guys, those are my rankings. Microsoft is first, EA is last, Bethesda and Nintendo kind of holding up the middle there, and overall, I thought this was a pretty good E3. My review for E3 would be somewhere between good and very good. Some of the conferences were awkward, pretty bad, other ones were extremely good, so this is a weird year. It kind of shows the state of the video game industry in E3 right now, where people are trying to experiment and it's not going well, but you're also seeing the archaic live conferences like Ubisoft where there's so much awkwardness, so much cringe, and it should be changed from that. You don't need to do that. And then you see the benefit of a live conference with someone like Xbox, who only had a few times where they were speaking, only played games on stage one time with Forza Horizon 3. When people came out, they talked really quickly, like the Devil May Cry 5 guys, and Phil Spencer's an amazing speaker. So I just think their conference was incredible, and they showed how it needs to be done. They set the bar for conferences for next E3. Anyway guys, let me know how you feel about E3 down in the comments below. What was your ranking of the conferences? Are they different than mine? Do you completely disagree with my rankings? And if you missed any of my coverage, whether it was my reactions, my reviews of the individual conferences, if you missed any of the conferences, I went back and cut up each conference so it only shows the gameplay, none of the talking, none of the extra stuff, and you can go watch those as well. And if you enjoyed this video and want to see more E3 coverage and a ton more gaming videos in the future, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, and don't forget to give that like button some love. Thank you guys so much for watching, and let's continue creating the greatest gaming community in the world. I'll see all you guys in the next video.